as children. The White House wants to end DACA next month. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Kuwait's ruling emir says his oil-rich nation would give $1 billion in loans and another billion in direct investments to help rebuild Iraq.
Sheikh Sabah al-Ahmad al-Sabah's announcement is in many ways stunning. Many residents of Kuwait remember how Iraq, under dictator Saddam Hussein, invaded their country only a generation ago. It shows Kuwait's deep desire to see its northern neighbor have a stable government after years of unrest following the 2003 U.S.-led invasion that toppled Saddam.
That's correspondent Jeremy House. Overall, Iraq says it's seeking $88+ billion in aid from donors to help rebuild. Authorities say the former student accused of fatally shooting 17 people at a Florida high school had excelled at marksmanship in the school's air rifle program. It received a grant from the National Rifle Association, which gave nearly $2.2 million to schools across 30 states as of 2016. More on these stories can be found at townhall.com.
It has been said that everyone has a book in them. But do you have the time or the ability to write your book? Maybe you picked up some skills or had a life experience that you want to pass on in the form of a book to help others. Maybe you want to leave an autobiography for your family. Or maybe you've built a successful business and you want to share your story. At Dorrance Publishing Company, we have professional writers who can help turn your book idea into a finished manuscript quickly and affordably. A Dorrance ghostwriter can provide as much or as little help as you need to complete your book. You'll work directly with your ghostwriter to finish your book faster than you ever could on your own. It's easy to become a published author. Call Dorrance now to learn more. 800-485-8803. 800-485-8803. 800-485-8803. Call right now. That's 800-485-8803.
Hi, this is Bill Martinez. Join us every Monday through Friday from 9 to noon Eastern when we're covering the issues that matter most to you. From Obamacare, the latest from Russia, the Middle East, Israel, immigration, and more. We're talking with the policy and political experts so you can be better informed. It's Bill Martinez Live, brought to you in part by my friends at Good News Tax Relief. Let them help you get your peace of mind back by dealing with the IRS for you. Proven experience. Proven results. Call 800-255-7500.
Welcome to Heaven on Earth, a sacred portal to visualizing, meditating, and co-creating our highest joys that usher in the Golden Age of Aquarius. I'm your host, Athena StarSeed. Hi, this is Athena. Welcome to the show, Heaven on Earth, and I am your host, and I have my beautiful, gorgeous co-host all the way from Hawaii, Emmy Award-winning set designer, Kim Hix. Kim, are you there?
I am indeed. Not quite laying under the palms, but I'm happy to be here.
Can't hear.
Hello, Kim.
Hi, is he outside? I can't hear him. Yeah. Hi, Kim, are you there?
I am.
He's not
Greetings
outside.
from the
He's
land
not
of
the
palm
outside.
trees
You have to
and
put him on
hula
the
girls.
outside. Can you hear him now? Okay, so good morning, Kim. I'm going to go ahead and start out with our opening invocation, all right? So I'd like everybody to take a nice deep breath. Inhale. And exhale. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light return to earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. Let the Christ consciousness return to earth. In the center where the will of God is known, let the center guide the little wills of men, the center which the masters know and serve, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. And may the plan of love, light, and power restore heaven on earth. Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, Father Sky and Mother Earth, from the point of light that connects us all, please be here in the sacred circle of light and bless this show. Amen. Om, om, om. All right, we're in. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
Right, so welcome back. How are you feeling?
Not well. I'm recovering. So quite a bout with health issues that have kept me in a lot of pain for a while. So I'm just now beginning to come out of it. It's interesting because it creates such introspection in me. Like what's going on, what's happening, and I think those feelings get manifested based on a lot of also the feelings of feeling what's going on in the world. The big iceberg broke off from Antarctica and Valentine's Day at the same time. And these are, beautiful polarities of what's going on our planet. Fascinating subjects. So the sicknesses seem to always cause me to introspect.
That is very true. Myself, I had the flu. I have had the flu from the last week and a half, and many of my friends have had the flu. And it's very poignant because our tarot card, this show, is the Hermit. And that is the introspective card of the tarot deck, of going into the inner realms of our inner consciousness to find the inner illumination and find out who we really are without having the outside reality justify our existence.
Well, that's really well put. That's a great description of the Hermit for sure. I think, for me, one of the greatest experiences of my life was when I discovered going within. And going within sort of fundamentally happened in the desert for me. And that's when I met solitude. And I always think of the Hermit as solitude. But the magnificence of the entire universe comes to an individual in a moment of solitude. It's not something you can use as a focus energy. It's a receptive energy. So the Hermit's quite a interesting figure too. But I love the idea that he holds the light that is from within, culminating of his wisdom and his mastership and understanding, and then that light beams out. And it beams out to anyone who is receptive to it. And I think that's a tremendous metaphor for us, Athena, with our concepts of the lighthouses. He, in effect, is a lighthouse, meaning that the greatest wisdom of the planet is embodied in humans all around us, who are the hermits of our culture and can bring light to shed on our current situation. I think that's a thrilling concept.
Also, too, the Hermit is the 9 card, which is completion.
Oh, yeah.
And in the beginning of the tarot, we start out with the Fool as 0. And then the Fool goes through this yin and yang with the masculine and the feminine cards, which is introspective and then externalized. And so when we come back to the 9, this is like the last single digit in the first set of the major arcana, and the Fool,
it's a triple triad.
Fool becomes like the wisdom keeper at the top of the mountain, from nothing to everything, and then the return back into who we are without the outside definitions, who we are without our name, without our sex, without our politics, without our dogma, without all of that, even without our career. Who are we as spiritual beings, and why are we on this planet, and what is our journey teaching us about this divine mystery?
Boy, that's beautifully stated, Athena. Yeah, the wisdom keeping of that's a very important understanding. But I like the fact that we're perceiving it of the archetypes are waves that roll through us, and we embody them temporarily and then shift into the next and the next. These are archetypes are wave fronts. They're standing waves that we in living live through. So it's a beautiful way of articulating it you just expressed. Fabulous.
Yeah. So when, Kim, you and I, we decided to do this show, this Heaven on Earth, and we're really talking about how we can usher in this new consciousness through who we are and why we're here on this planet. And as our life continues to unfold, the mystery starts to teach us who we are. And I really wanted to talk about, we have Julian Forrest in studio right now, about how sound and the history of sound and magic informs us. And so, Julian, let's talk a little bit about the Pythagorean schools.
Yeah, sure. Is the mic on good? Okay, thank you. So I love this topic of Hermeticism. So I'm going to link Pythagoreanism with Hermeticism because that's the topic of the day and it fits so perfectly. And I don't really mean to talk about myself, but just a little bit of background will help to lead into the topic that I really want to illustrate, is that I went through extreme Hermeticism at various different points in my life, where I assembled magnificent libraries and I would spend hours on end studying harmonics, classical music theory, Pythagoreanism, hieroglyphs, geometry. And at the time, there was no internet and there's no one talking about sacred geometry anywhere that I knew, period. I was calling it harmonic proportion because I had rediscovered this science of how frequency and harmonics relate to geometry, and it was all my own baby, really, in my mind, as far as like me understanding it, because there's no one to talk to about it. I later on became very, very dear friends with Charles Gilchrist, who's one of the most foremost sacred geometrists on the planet, and I soundtracks videos and do interviews with him for about the last 7 years. But back in the late 80s and 90s and early 2000s, when I was really immersed in this, it wasn't something that I could access a community about in any way. So basically what happened is I went and did it on my own, but I had to be very hermetic. So sometimes I would start making a sacred geometrical art piece, and then 8 hours later it's morning and I was completely immersed in a trance making this art piece. And I needed that quiet and that solitude to really go into those places. And during that phase is when I developed this celestial music style that I'm super well known for. And it was because I would do things like, maybe ride my bike on a summer's day to the river, jump in and swim, and then I'd come back home and I'd have all my stuff set up and I had privacy and I'd just be in a state of bliss. And I would go into playing this celestial, beautiful music because I was invigorated and happy and healthy. But I was alone, hermetic. And I
love that. I love that process in the creative endeavor. Go to the river and swim, and then you're cleaned out through nature, because nature's constantly sweeping through us, and then the geometry unfolds, and then the Sacred Heart itself illuminates from within.
Yes,
you get shown the way.
Absolutely. That's such a beautiful poetic way to describe some things I did, and then other times it was just I know this is going to sound kind of hilarious, but it's apt because it's true. In my front room, I had this whole beautiful house because I used to own a music store, and I stopped at one point running it, but I had amazing music gear. So in my front room, this big wooden floor, I had Marshall stacks set up, and I'd play them at concert level volumes at 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes because I could, and I was experimenting with feedback. Wow. And so when I was feeling that, I could do it, but it was a part of the hermetic ability to isolate and go within that allowed all of these things to come forth. And so it really caused me to do deep introspection about myself, do a lot of inner work, and also be a very deep student of the mysteries, the actual esoteric knowledge.
Deep student of the mysteries. I think that's a description of probably every person that could possibly be listening to this show right now. We're all deep students of the mystery. And the thrilling thing is we bring these different perspectives in these multifaceted geometries into the Merkabahs of life that we do live. Fantastic. Love your music stuff. I can't wait to hear more of that.
Oh, thank you so much, Kim. And I'm very enthused also about what you're doing. Athena has told me some things about you that are very fascinating. And I, once again, that first conversation that I ever had with you, you said some very definite knowing statements about the harmonics of the Platonic solids. And that's one of the deepest secrets of antiquity. There's very few people that can actually delve on that with understanding. And I would like that to become more common. Of course, the music theory and the harmonics and the geometrical time that it takes to do that are not something that's going to happen all the time. But we can start to present it so that the people that really want to, grasp that are exposed to it. And, so there's a few people that had insight to it, and I just want to mention them. Leonardo da Vinci knew that secret because he wrote a book with Paco, and it's basically called The Divine Proportion. And if you look at the diagram in there where he lays out the Platonic solids, he puts them in the correct harmonic order. That's how I knew that he knew. And then later on, I read the intro, and it says in the intro, this was years later after I already understood that he knew it. It said geometry is harmonic. Plato knew it, Pythagoras knew it, and the Egyptian priests knew it.
Julian, I mean, one of the greatest things I can think of doing is creating a harmonic playground, a series of caves and reflective surfaces to do entonement experiences and harmonic crescendos and diminuendos and sequencing of triads and things. And there are a lot of friends in our orbit who are interested in that sort of thing. It would be fabulous to get a budget together enough to create such a playground and then go play in it and see what we can learn in the more refined way about it all.
That would be magnificent, Kim. And just for the listeners too, I had a realization, just to elaborate just a little bit. There's 5 Platonic solids, and it's easy to Google and look up. It includes the tetrahedra, the icosahedra, the dodecahedra, the cube, and the octahedra. But when you look at those shapes, are the core building blocks of the universe, and they morph into each other. So you can change one to the other. For example, inside of the cube, there's an octahedron. If you shave off the corners, you get the octahedra of a cube. These kinds of things. So just to give people kind of an idea, what we're really pointing at is that system goes way back to antiquity, and is something that also has a harmonic musical aspect to it that's based on harmonics and harmonies, that is the basis of really divine temple building in India. It's the basis of sacred structures all over the planet. And so that's what we're talking about, just to kind of help people understand what the topic really is. Okay?
Great.
With health and fitness, when we think about King Solomon's temple, his temple was built similar to the way that our bodies are built. And they studied that, and they realized that the microcosm is the macrocosm. And when you find it in your cells, you find it in yourself, you can find it in this beautiful architecture. And a lot of the mystics were the temple builders, and they knew that. All right, so we're coming up to a commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages. This is a show called Heaven on Earth, and I'm your host, Athena StarSeed. And I have my beautiful, gorgeous co-host, Kim Hix from Hawaii, and our in-studio
pain, back pain, shoulder, elbow, or hand pain, pain from a sports injury. If so, schedule a visit with Dr. Michael Sheps, the leading expert in laser therapy for pain management. Call 310-873-4422 or go to drsheps.com. Experience Epic T, the breakthrough laser therapy system that Dr. Sheps developed to make you pain-free in less time. Laser therapy is a non-invasive, safe, and effective in-office procedure that penetrates deep into your skin without damaging the tissue. It perfectly targets areas of pain to promote fast, natural healing. Relax your muscles, ease muscle spasms, joint stiffness, and arthritis pain while increasing blood circulation. For over 25 years, Dr. Sheps has helped Olympic athletes and sports enthusiasts alike get back in the game. Schedule your visit with Dr. Sheps at his Brentwood office in California. Call 310-873-4422 or visit drsheps.com. That's DRSHEPS.com, 310-873-4422.
Hi, everyone. This is Fred Dreyer with some breaking news. My new movie, Highway 395, has just been released. Highway 395 is my latest movie and is now available for all of my friends and listeners to own. Highway 395 is a classic modern-day Western thriller. Action, romance, and the frontier spirit. It's all there in my new movie, Highway 395. Now, here's the best part. You can own this movie tonight by going to my brand new website, freddryer.co. Head to my website now at freddryer.co and check out the trailer. Then order the movie for a great night of entertainment. And while you're at freddryer.co, check out the memorabilia and my career highlights. But don't forget to order my new action thriller movie, Highway 395. So head over to freddryer.co. That's freddryer.co.
CRN listeners, when you come to Southern California, stop by a great restaurant, the Dresden Restaurant at 1760 North Vermont Avenue in Hollywood. Enjoy great entertainment, like the music of the legendary Marty and Elaine at the world-famous Dresden Restaurant. The Dresden was a location for the making of the movie Swingers. Now you can swing with stars Marty and Elaine. Plus, enjoy great food, too, like French onion soup, artichoke hearts, and many other great appetizers. Seafood, there's salmon, shrimp scampi, New Zealand orange roughy, halibut, Lake Superior whitefish, and specialties like veal, marsala, piccata, and parmigiana. Plus, we've got a great roast rack of lamb, chicken piccata, and cordon bleu, and pasta dishes, too. Steaks, filet, New York, Chateaubriand for two. Much more, too, including pork chops, prime rib of beef, and an incredibly extra large cut of prime rib. It's the Dresden Restaurant, open for lunch Monday through Saturday and dinner Monday through Sunday. Check us out at 1760 North Vermont Avenue or call 323-665-4294.
Supreme grace, light rain down through me. Supreme grace, light rain down through me. Supreme grace, light rain down through me. Rain. Supreme grace, light rain down.
Hi, this is Athena StarSeed, and this is a show called Heaven on Earth, and we are back with my lovely co-host Kim Hix, all the way from Hawaii, and our in-studio guest Julian Forrest. Welcome back, Kim.
Hey, thank you, Athena.
Are talking a little bit about the mystery schools and the importance of why they were there and what they were studying and how they birthed the Renaissance. So, Julian, you want to go ahead and take over from there?
Yeah, sure. What I'd like to say is that one of my fondest studies, it's the bigger picture that, it brings in all the art, all the science, all the music, all the meditation, all the yoga, all the temple building, everything combines it all together, is this idea, well, what do these things really do for culture? What does it do for the world when you have a renaissance? And when I say renaissance, I'd like to apply that to a broader picture. We have the Italian Renaissance, which is super important. I personally, my take is that it brought us out of the Dark Ages. And it's a relative thing, but still, compared to where it was before and what happened after, it really was a flowering. So when we look at that, it also happened during the time of the Alexandrian Library. It happened during the time of, Plato and Pythagoras, and that period. There was a flowering then, and it happened in ancient Egypt at various different points where culture was super, super high and elevated. Now, that doesn't mean there weren't wars and all kinds of things going on at the same time. There were, and when Buddhism took root in India, that's a type of renaissance. So I just want to broaden the definition. And what I found, one of the biggest things behind it is harmonic proportion. The understanding that the universe is a musical construct by initiates and students and mystics, and then bringing that into the music, bringing it into the painting, bringing it into architecture. So architecture really is frozen music. It's an amazing thing to come to the realization that when the Pythagoreans said there's geometry in the humming of the strings and music in the whirling of the spheres, they were not kidding. It is poetic, it is beautiful, but they were very serious. Yeah. And they knew the math, they had the geometry, they understand much more science than people realize once you start delving into it, you get into it. So the bigger point, and Athena was super astute to remind me of this, by the way, just a moment ago, it's about this idea of the global renaissance that we can have right now. The global renaissance can be facilitated by the technology because people can look things up in a way that they never could before. I had to go through extraordinary, daunting means to get a hold of Hermetica and certain ancient texts and things before the internet. And a lot of times that same stuff that I toiled for, I can press a button and read it online.
Really. The Library of Alexandria has arrived in this new culture, and it's the internet. If you can wade through the sniping of the trolls, it's the tremendous wealth of information is here now, and quite capable of harmonizing us into a great renaissance. Indeed, Julian. Keep going. Want to hear more?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Kim, and I love your enthusiasm for the topic. And so what I really see is it kind of broadens too when we say the obvious, it sounds obvious, but then after the fact, if we really contemplate it, the magnitude can settle over us at deeper level. It's like, wow, there's language translators now. We can have conversations with people we couldn't talk to before if we didn't know their language. There's the jet plane. There's, transportation in general. There's the cell phone. We can send messages all over the planet. So we have the opportunity to take this communication ability and create this global renaissance. And once again, for me, the primary structure behind it is this Pythagorean harmonic, the universe's music perspective, and then integrating that into everything else. And now that includes knowledge systems. So, for example, the Kabbalah is very misunderstood. It's actually an ancient knowledge vehicle that's encased in an alphabet, and it goes back to the Phoenician alphabet, and way before that, probably way back to cultures that are maybe even tens of thousands of years old. But that alphabet's a knowledge vehicle, and it's got a harmonic structure. And it's not speculation. It really is there, and it's based on pi inside of this Phoenician Hebrew alphabet as an example, as well as the Hindu systems and the Greek and everything. If you just know how to look at it, you start to realize that it's a harmonic structure. And so the basis of higher knowledge and integration really is music.
I think that's a great description of it for sure. I want to bring up the point of rhythmic entrainment and how the old experiment of putting several clocks on the wall, mechanical analog clocks, would eventually they would come into a rhythmic harmony simply by being associated to each other. It's a very interesting process. It's a way we can create a contagious culture on our planet that can be harmonically exported everywhere on the planet simultaneously. That's why we have this opportunity for Renaissance right here now. Julian, great.
That's beautiful. So listen, we're going to be right back after these messages from our sponsors. This is Athena StarSeed and Kim Hix broadcasting Heaven on Earth. We'll be right back after these messages. Thanks so much.
Hi, everyone. This is Fred Dreyer with some breaking news. My new movie, Highway 395, has just been released. Highway 395 is my latest movie and is now available for all of my friends and listeners to own. Highway 395 is a classic modern-day Western thriller. Action, romance, and the frontier spirit. It's all there in my new movie, Highway 395. Now, here's the best part. You can own this movie tonight by going to my brand new website, freddryer.co. Head to my website now at freddryer.co and check out the trailer. Then order the movie for a great night of entertainment. And while you're at freddryer.co, check out the memorabilia and my career highlights. But don't forget to order my new action thriller movie, Highway 395. So head over to freddryer.co. That's freddryer.co.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS? Newsflash, the president has changed the tax laws, and now you may be able to pay the IRS less. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, the tax doctor can help you pay the IRS as little as possible allowed by law. There are new tax laws for business owners, the self-employed, even W-2 workers. If you have a back tax problem or a few years of unfilled returns, new help to save you money is now here. Call right now to see how the new tax laws can help you. Plus, right now, we'll waive the consultation fee and give you a free tax savings report. Attention business owners, the self-employed, and W-2 workers. Make this free call to the tax doctor now and learn how to take advantage of the new tax laws that may help you pay the IRS less. 800-985-1610. 800-985-1610. 800-985-1610. That's 800-985-1610.
Located in the heart of Maui's premier resort, Kaanapali Beach Hotel is officially recognized as Hawaii's most Hawaiian hotel and the #1 best value in Hawaii. With a range of accommodations and a affordable dining options, this is the ideal setting to turn Hawaiian dreams into lifelong memories. Live Hawaiian entertainment every evening, free year-round children's programs, weekly arts and crafts fairs, welcome breakfast, and departure kukui lei ceremonies add to the value. Swim in the whale-shaped pool, indulge in the fabulous spa and hotel salon. Enjoy Hawaiian hospitality at its best at the Ka'anapali Beach Hotel. Call 800-262-8450 or go to kbhmaui.com. That's kbhmaui.com. Aloha.
Do you want to fly somewhere, anywhere in the world? Smart travelers call myflightsearch.com for the best deals on flight tickets. Going to Manila, Bangkok, London, how about Singapore? Call myflightsearch.com for the lowest flight tickets available. What about a local vacation? Let's say you want to fly to Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Los Angeles, or Denver. Pick up the phone and call myflightsearch.com right now. We have exclusive deals that you can't find anywhere else. The only way you can get these low airline prices is by calling us. We have so many low prices available, we can't possibly tell them to you right here and now. If you're flying somewhere anytime in the next 6 months and you want the lowest airline ticket prices anywhere, you owe it to yourself to save a ton of money. So pick up your cell phone and call myflightsearch.com right now.
Call 800-445-3166. 800-445-3166. That's 800-445-3166. Call now. 800-445-3166.
Supreme grace, light rain down through me. Supreme grace, light rain down through me. Supreme grace.
Hi, this is Athena StarSeed, and this is a show called Heaven on Earth, and we're at CRN Talk Radio, and we have Kim Hix, all the way from Hawaii, which is our wonderful co-host, and we have in studio Julian Forrest, and we were talking about the mystery schools and sound, and actually the new birthing of this Renaissance and recontextualizing what a Renaissance is. And we're going to take that and we're going to talk about the emergence of the divine feminine and how that plays a role in this rebirthing of our human consciousness. Go ahead, Julian.
Sure. One of the things that I really love is I like to allude to this, but Pythagoras is secretly one of the most influential beings in all of Western civilization, especially and further. But if you look at Kepler, for example, the 3 laws that he's so famous for in standard science was because he's looking for the music of the spheres. That's a blatant truth. The atomic table of elements was discovered by Mendeleev, supposedly, but really it goes back much further. That's another story. But he specifically says, well, I found that, the atomic weights of one thing were an octave apart. I wonder if there's more musical intervals. That's actual science history. He discovered it, but no one's talking about that. You have to delve into it, but as a rare book dealer, I found this stuff out.
Julian, you've got to repeat that. That was too poignant. What is that again?
Sure, no problem. So in the 1860s, Mendeleev is a Russian physicist, and he said, he's quoted as saying that he found that there was an octave relationship between elements that were similar, in their properties. And he said, I wonder if the rest of it is harmonic intervals too, and it was. And so the atomic table of elements is accepted in modern science that we see as this block, this rectangle, is completely and totally misleading to how it was discovered. Mendeleev actually discovered that it was a harmonic sequence, and then it's a spiral. It's not actually a block of weight. So I've shown this to physicists that were never shown that. You show them the math, and they're like, oh my God, it is a harmonic spiral, Julian. You're right. The math is right there. It goes in octaves. And so that's how it was discovered. Now, Arabian alchemists and other people actually had the atomic table of elements, even to the decimal point, way before. It's just not advertised in modern science. But Mendeleev is the one that gets the credit for it because he brought it out in a way that was accepted by modern science in the 1860s. And so to realize that it was discovered on musical means is super important. It's a Pythagorean approach. Now, the next thing is Isaac Newton says that gravity is basically to be alluded to Pythagoras. It's a quote. So my point is underlying Galileo, the Medicis, the Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci, and Plato. Plato was a Pythagorean, and people don't even realize it. And then you realize that Pythagoras was initiated in Egypt, and he was there for 22 years. And then if you reassemble Pythagorean knowledge and really understand it with music theory and geometry, and then you realize this Egyptian, you can see that it's Egyptian by looking back at the Egyptians and looking at their artworks and their writings, and it's encoded in there the whole time. So when you see Seshat, she's pointing at the canon out, this female priestess, she's got a flower of life on her head or a seed of life on her head, and she's pointing to an exact spot, and you know what the proportions are. You realize on that staff with all the exact equidistant points, she's pointing to the exact point towards the top of the staff. It's a proportion. She's telling you what the divine proportion is. She's got the seed of life on her head, and she's a sacred priestess. And so in Egypt, they had this knowledge in a very, very vast way that people don't even realize, but you have to know the code. So the Pythagoreans had it, and so what we wanted to come to, that Athena is alluding to as well, is realizing that in the Pythagorean schools, both male and female students were studying the mysteries equally. It was not an exclusively male school. They had the balance, and all through Greek antiquity, the priestess played a huge role because they understood balance. Okay, so that's one of the things that we need to revive in modern times, and there's a movement to that effect. And sometimes it goes, I'm just going to be honest, it goes way overboard the other direction. It's not balanced. I'm just going to put it out there, and I'm going to be direct. What we need is to go back to balance and yes, bring it forth. And so things tend to overcorrect sometimes, and we're going through a little bit of that right now. So we just need to keep working to realize that the balance is the ideal.
It certainly is. Boy, the laws of harmonics of the universe you've been expressing are very interesting. I have a friend that I'm very interested in your meeting. He's a brilliant mathematician artist, and he has developed a very dynamic model of your platonic solids passing through, in and out, creating one another. It's called a morphohedron, morphohedron, and it is the resolution of the Kepler-Poinsot problem, Julian, of trying to relate these harmonically, and exactly what you've been talking about all along. So I got to think that the mystery of how we can create a globally conscious, aware humanity relies on our deeper understanding of the harmonics of the universe. And it's great to see you as a Pythagorean jump right in, man, and go, well, here's how it works. What's your music like? How are you finding your way in there? What are you doing?
Well, it's interesting because I'd like to compliment you. To be able to just fluidly discuss these things with someone is really beautiful, by the way, Kim, so I appreciate you. One of the things that came to me while you were speaking about the morphohedron and how platonic solids can morph from one to the other, which is fascinating. It really does explain a lot of what's going on in organic forms and how they grow and develop, and that there's a harmonic structure the whole time. It's just morphing from one to the other sometimes and changes form. Yes. But the morphology shows you, it's like, oh my goodness, there's this whole thing, and you can fractalize the sides of a platonic solid and get an even deeper picture. Once you send it into fractals and realize what it's really doing, you can see directly how it's an organic cosmic code. Now, moving forward from that, what came to me while you're discussing it is once you really understand harmony and how it relates to geometry really, really thoroughly, dissonance becomes really well understood in a way that you can use it. Now, when I play sacred music, people go into trances. They have angelic visitations. They actually have healed directly right in front of my eyes. They've done all kinds of astral plane journeys. This would happen in Sedona, especially. Every time I did it, every single time, people would have majestic experiences of a higher order when I would play this music, because the field was non-invasive. It was there for them to tap into at their own free will, however they were feeling it, because I wasn't trying to get them to do anything. I was offering the field for them to tune into. Now, what's important about that is I consciously use dissonance. Okay, dissonance can be super cathartic. So one of the things that impressed me long ago as I were book dealers, I came across a Renaissance alchemical manuscript about using wine glasses with water in them and creating piercing dissonant tones to draw out illness. And it really, really hit me. I took it on board and I realized, wow, dissonance can be used to actually bring out the imbalance. So you're using the dissonance with understanding of exactly where it is and well-placed particular dissonances along with these majestic angelic harmonies to achieve the overall effect. So it's sound alchemy with harmonics and dissonance along with
alchemy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that sounds absolutely fascinating. So you think that there's a relationship between the dissonance and the harmonies and the shifting back and forth that can be used to create flow states, draw energy away from negatives and into positives. I mean, that was very interesting.
Yeah, so well said. Yeah,
Your
absolutely.
whole wine glass thing. See, these are the kind of things we would jump right into the playground if we had the tools and resources and workshops available. We would just, let's get in here and let's try this stuff. I think it's going to be fascinating to see what you keep coming up with, especially when you get more and more inspired by the need for humanity to get on a harmonic, a brand new constellation of consciousness, which is what we're here aiming at for sure. I wanted to go back to the hermit because the hermit, I tied the hermit to Pythagoras because you've been talking about him, and I've always had the image of Pythagoras working with his strings, and the plucking the one string and then seeing all the other ones that are in E vibrating simultaneously, and I always saw that as a great hermetic act, was that singular moment when his brain went off into this hyper consciousness, understanding that harmonics rule the universe. It was a great thing. And the hermit, therefore becomes Pythagoras, therefore becomes you and I, sons of Pythagoras, etc., and the Archimedeans, and everybody else who's caring about all of history, and everybody who's listening who wants to see the history altered in a new direction of consciousness through these harmonics. Wow, Julian. Be fun, man. We got to create a playground.
That would be amazing. I know that you would be the person too. That's more than obvious. You'd be incredible.
I think too the main function of man and woman is to be able to intentionally become the architects of their own life. And Julian, I just want to say I love the way you said architecture is frozen sound, and how buildings have their own humming and their own harmonic, and that when they mirror the cosmic macrocosm, that when you yourself go into these type of buildings, the way the resonance and the harmonics actually affect your body can put you back into tune. And I know I'm from Maryland, and we went to Washington, D.C. a lot, and they had all of the different domes and the different structures were specifically, the whole city was laid out in a harmonic and sacred geometry. So can you talk a little bit about how sacred geometry affects the body and healing and sound?
Yeah, sure, Athena. One of the really fascinating things about this, and I'm going to tie 2 points together, something that Kim said that sparked me, and then what you said, and I'll bring them into unison. Here's one of the most fascinating things. I touched on this with Kim and you last time that we were on the show, is that every single note on a string is literally the entire universe holographically. And so when you hear a note, you have this illusion. You think you're hearing a note because you're told you're hearing a note, and that's how we're taught, is, oh, you're hearing a note. Well, if you're a Sufi or you're a Pythagorean or you're an Egyptian priest or you're a deep student of music and you go past classical music theory training, past it, like literally above it. And I'm really not kidding. And I teach super, super high level classical people from all over the world from time to time. You get into the harmonics and you actually learn how to hear the harmonic cascade. It goes to infinity. And it's this majestic song that's like the angels are singing to you directly because you've learned to hear it inside of every note. And so that is the secret. That's the secret. That's the secret of renaissances. That's the secret of these magnificent Hindu temples and structures that started showing back up, around the 12th century, because they were studying the Timaeus by Plato. They were studying the Timaeus by Plato. He was a Pythagorean.
This is brilliant stuff. I really appreciate that idea. I mean, that a note is a hologram of the entire universe. I mean, it seems that it would be like that. Just understanding that quivering surfaces of water, that the jiggle represents the entire jiggling of the universe, so to speak, as it does its equilibrium dance. Every note is a hologram. Great notion, and then how to use it aesthetically and collectively. I think that's going to be the great adventure we're going to be on right now, guys and girls.
And also, too, Kim, it points back to feng shui and interior design, and how when you walk into your home, the sacred placement of objects, and how sound and light and space bounce energy off of one another, and that when you go into sacred spaces, you actually can feel the difference in your body, whether it's contracting or whether it's expanding. And I wanted Julian to talk a little bit about that, about how that sacred architecture affects the human psyche.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I was having a vision, speaking with both you and Timothy, and as you were both speaking sequentially, but the same vision was there, and they tie in perfectly. There's a mystical state that you can go into, and then of course there's lots of them. But one of them that I've been to many times, more at the physical level, because now we're talking about feng shui compared to architecture and everything. But if you take a string and realize that it's actually an ellipse, you can see it much more on a harp than you can on a guitar. But the ancients were playing harps a lot, so they saw the ellipses more. They were more in tune with this.
Explain the ellipse, Julian.
Let's say that you take a circle and you grab it from each side, and then you stretch it. You're going to get an ellipse that looks like a mouth or an eye by pulling it. And if you take a jump rope and you start off with a tight string, but then you start to turn it, that's going to be an ellipse. Unless you have it close enough, then it can make a sphere. So once you get into the secret geometry systems that I've created, you realize that a line is the extension of a dot, and the line is a compression of a sphere, and that if you open the line back up like a jump rope, you can get an ellipse, and then you bring it close enough and its points, you'll get a sphere. Then you start seeing, oh my God, a dot and a line and a sphere are all the same thing in different levels of compression. So when you look at the north and south pole of the planet, you think about holding it at each end, you stretched it, you'd get an ellipse and eventually a line. And it compresses down to dots if you're looking at it straight forward. Now, this sounds very, very hard to understand, but if you really think about what I'm saying, spheres and lines and ellipses are all the same thing, and it compresses down to a dot, which means that a dot can actually manifest everything in the entire universe by radiating out from its points, and every single point becomes a new center. And so, holographically, the universe can be created from a single point, literally. Yeah, so
that's been an interesting theory of mine for a long time, how that works, and I think that was a really great description of it. I think we can model this stuff very effectively in very tactile, tangible models, Julian, because it's very abstract to talk about it, but boy, it is stunning to see it. The orbital vibrations of a string and oscillating. I know at the Exploratorium we had an experiment way back in the 80s that had a drum head under a strobe light, and they would play, and you could turn the frequency up or down, and the strobe light would tune to it so that it would freeze the drum head in an undulated frozen pattern or standing wave. Absolutely brilliant way to see a drum head and how these harmonics are working.
Absolutely. And I'll come back to ellipses real quick later.
All right, so this is Athena StarSeed. This is a show called Heaven on Earth, and I have my co-host Kim Hix and Julian Forrest in studio, and we're just talking about sound, harmonics, and the vibration, and how we actually are living in a hologram. We're going to be right back after these messages. Thanks so much for tuning in, and if you like the show, please share it. Thanks so much.
Do you like burgers? Then experience the ultimate famous 50-50 burger at Slater's 50-50 in Pasadena, California. 50% ground beef and 50% ground bacon. Stop by at 61 North Raymond Avenue in Pasadena and visit Slater's 50-50. Experience our full bar with craft beer and more. Play in our cool new game room. View the best sports in our Slater's 50-50 TV lounge. Try our Slater's 50-50 burgers by design too, and all of our incredible incredible food, including our Sunday Bloody Mary brunch. Check out our VIP event space for private dining and ask about our chef-inspired catering company with a completely scratch kitchen-based service. It's all at Slater's 5050 under new management at 61 North Raymond in Pasadena. Call 626-765-9700. 626-765-9700. Call now, 626-765-9700.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Supreme grace, lay rain down through me. Supreme grace, lay rain down through me. Supreme grace, light rain down through me.
This is Athena StarSeed. Welcome back to our show, Heaven on Earth. I am your host, and I have Kim Hix as our beautiful co-host from Hawaii, and we have Julian Forrest in studio. This is our last 4-minute segment, and we just want to talk a little bit about what people can do at home to get themselves in their own harmonic and to increase their own vibrational resonance.
Real quickly on ellipses, and I love speaking with you, Kim, about this. This is a great thing. I think we're going to have a great friendship, by the way. And,
oh, boy, I'll say. I can't wait.
I definitely feel that. And so on ellipses, really quick, a string is moving in an ellipse on a guitar. It looks like it's not really moving that much, so you don't really see the ellipse because they don't want it to hit the fretboard. So it's designed at a tighter sort of attention, whereas on a harp you could see it. Now, if you start to think about what this ellipse is doing, and then you start to look at the Eye of Horus in ancient Egyptian, and then just Google it, and you'll find out that all of the parts of the Eye of Horus are harmonic fractions that goes up to 1/64th. Literally, if you look at Egyptian mathematics, they take parts of the Eye of Horus, and it represents a harmonic fraction. And then it turns out their mathematical systems were harmonic. And you can calculate in your head with harmonic Egyptian mathematics about 1,000 times faster than you could with the English methods that we use, okay? And so it's amazing. Mathematics are harmonic because there's a secret goddess of harmony. I call it the secret goddess harmony behind mathematics and structures that is really the hidden structure of the universe. It's beyond the realm of the mind even. Now, what I wanted to get to is this idea of the ellipse. If you picture the ellipse and you think of it oscillating back and forth on a guitar string or on a harp, and you realize that there's infinite harmonics in there, and it turns out that if you touch the string lightly and you get that bell tone called a harmonic, which most guitar players know about, then you realize that they're happening at specific proportions. At 1/2 of the string on the 12th fret, 1/3 of the string makes a perfect fifth, at 1/4 of the string you get a perfect fourth, and it creates all the essential harmonic intervals that we recognize and our ears are built to receive, and our DNA is built on that structure as well as the atomic tail of elements and the spacings of the planets. Look up up Bode's law on Google, and you find out that the spacings of the planets is actually harmonic, and even in modern science, even though they don't tell you it's harmonic, they give you the proportions, and you find, oh my God, those are the harmonies. So the music of the spheres is real, and it is the microcosm, the macrocosm, like Athena's saying. So if you picture the ellipse, and you realize, wait, everything in the universe is actually connected. There's no separate space. So my point is that ellipse geometrically is showing you the push and pull of the universe itself. And whenever you hit a string, it is literally connected to the entire universe. There's no separation. And so that microcosm of the string and the monad, like the hermit or the Pythagorean, is studying the harmonics on the single string. And they have the satoris and those higher realizations because they get it. Like, oh my goodness, this is telling me what the universe is doing as a whole on this string.
I think that's a great description of it. Julian, the most important thing I can suggest for everybody that's listening is get into any form of music whatsoever, not with the idea of attaining anything, but just simply playing in the mystery of it. Your very first experience clunking around on any kind of instrument, on a drum even, can start to teach you wholesale consciousness aspects of the universe can be revealed in them. So I must say that a new future and a new civilization must embody a tremendous amount of harmonic understanding, and the best way is jump in. Boys and girls, it's time to get to the musical playground.
Absolutely. And I just want to say, everyone, you can use your instrument as your voice. So even if you don't have a drum to beat, you can actually just sing and hum and get into your own vibration, just like the morning and the birds. And that's what nature is about. It's about tuning in to your own soul song. This is Athena StarSeed and Kim Hix and Julian Forrest, and we are creating heaven on earth through our own love, light, and sound. We'll catch you next week. Thank you so much. Also, too, if you like the show, please share it, please subscribe, and stay tuned for next week's show. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Which was most appropriate because that was your theme.
Are you tired of hearing your favorite talk radio shows sound like this? What if you could hear your favorite shows in crystal clear high definition?